This is ABC Columbia News at noon. At home in the Midlands.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for ABC Columbia News at noon. I'm Lindsey Goodwin. We'll get right over to Tyler Ryan for a look at your forecast. Tyler, I know the remnants of what's left of Hurricane Ian and is now heading up towards us, and we're hearing it could now be upgraded to a Category 1 storm.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was downgraded this morning at the 5 o'clock advisory to a tropical storm. And I know we've been talking the last couple of days. Because of the conditions, it didn't look like it was going to be upgraded again. It would stay a tropical storm as it made landfall here in South Carolina, worked its way through the Midlands. But at this point, yeah, it looks like it's going to have enough to go ahead and be upgraded to a Cat 1 hurricane as it approaches Charleston. That's later tonight into early tomorrow morning. But I wanted to take a second and just explain that. You know, the difference between a high-end tropical storm and a Cat 1 hurricane can be largely negligible. It's a big scary word that has an H on it. And so, you know, the difference is, you know, between a 65-mile-an-hour wind and a 74, that's your threshold for a Cat 1. Really, in damage is not going to be a whole lot in the big scheme of things. So, like I said, it's upgraded, yes. Do we need to be on alert? Yes. But it sounds a lot scarier than it potentially is. So I just want to throw that out there and put that into, you know, realm. So that's where it is, Lindsay. Yeah, it looks like, and it doesn't really change a lot for us anyway on the models by the time it gets to us anyway. Maybe a little more intense, but that's really about it for now. It won't stay a Cat 1 very long once it gets off the coast. So that's where it is right now. And you can see that area of low pressure just off the Space Coast moving around. Temperature-wise today back home right now anyway, very just raw outside. It's chilly. It's cool, 64 degrees. You see that breeze coming in from the northeast, still 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 23 over in Aiken. So it is very, very breezy. That's going to continue, obviously, to go back up as well. So that's where it stands, a little cooler than yesterday. As far as this afternoon, I don't see a whole lot of coming in. Dry, cooling down. We saw a little sunshine, but still dry air out there as it comes in. And yeah, we're going to be dealing with the rain as it comes in tonight and tomorrow. But again, please take that Cat 1, the big H word, for what it's worth. Linz.
All right, Tyler, thank you. I know you'll keep us updated. And now we'll take a look at the catastrophic flooding in southwest Florida. Ian not only caused decimating damage there, but knocked out power for 2 million people. And so far, the death toll stands at 1. That number expected to climb as search and rescue operations continue in the state. ABC's Justin Finch has the latest.
Ian making history as one of the most powerful hurricanes to ever make landfall in Florida, decimating parts of the state.
This storm is having broad impacts across the state, and some of the flooding you're going to see in areas hundreds of miles from where this made landfall are going to set records.
2.5 million Floridians told to evacuate, but some who chose to stay had to be rescued by first responders. High water levels prompting drastic rescue calls in Lee County.
Caller reporting a sinking vehicle, unknown if he's breathing, caller disconnected.
Many still waiting for help.
We have thousands of calls on 911 that are prioritized, and we're answering as we speak. There are thousands of people that are waiting to be rescued.
ABC's Ginger Z facing the eye wall.
We see these winds, and that little house that we were talking about all day has gone. Succumbed to the storm surge. Now the blue roof is all that's left floating in the water toward the building.
Fort Myers flooded with up to a 12-foot storm surge, shredding structures to pieces. Debris floating in the streets, cars submerged. This floating debris was once someone's house. In Naples, Kimberly Walker telling ABC about the moments water began to seep into her home.
The water got to be a lot more and a lot more and a lot more, and it was just, it didn't matter what you did. The water started coming into my home, reaching about mid-thigh. I knew I had to get out.
In the city of Punta Gorda, water service is out. A boil water advisory in effect until further notice. And power has been restored to more than 1 million customers. Next, portable cell phone towers will go up across Southwest Florida once it's deemed safe to do so. Justin Finch, ABC News, Tampa.
And And here at home, the State Department of Transportation is making sure the roads are safe as possible for drivers. Officials say they're preparing equipment that would be used for removing trees and other debris from the roads statewide. The department is also monitoring traffic flow from Florida and Georgia evacuees to determine any impacts on their transportation network. Barricades and traffic signs are being prepared in case some roads and bridges must be closed due to any storm damage. And Dominion Energy is out across South Carolina trimming back and safeguarding power lines. The power company says the #1 cause for power outages during storms are downed trees and large limbs falling on lines. They say there's a possibility of a lot of outages if Ian makes a direct hit here to Columbia. So Dominion is reminding its customers that the company prepares its crews year-round for emergency response.
We'll be staging crews across the service territory here in South Carolina, bringing in other crews from other Dominion Energy states, particularly Virginia, to help with that response as well. And we want people to know that our crews will be ready to go as quickly and as safely as they are able to once those first outages start rolling in, and they'll continue working until that last outage is restored.
Dominion says to make sure you have non-perishable foods, flashlights with extra batteries, and that all your phones are charged in case your home does lose power. And several school districts here in the Midlands are changing their schedules ahead of the storm. These include Fairfield, Sumter, some schools in Richland Districts 1 and 2, and Lexington, Richland 5. For a complete list of early dismissals and e-learning days, just visit our website. That's abccolumbia.com. And we'll switch gears a bit now. Richland County deputies have arrested a Westwood High School student for allegedly bringing a knife to school. The 17-year-old student is charged with carrying a weapon on school grounds. On Wednesday, resource officers responded to the front of the school after an administrator saw the student with the knife during dismissal. Now, there's no evidence that any students or staff were presented or threatened with the knife. The student was later released to his parent. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office is announcing there's no credible threat to Sumter County schools after pictures of weapons circulated on social media. Deputies shared photos that contained pictures of guns with captions indicating potential threats related to schools. The photos were mass texted or airdropped throughout the student population at Crestwood and eventually to other schools across Sumter County. However, the photos were confirmed not to have anything to do with the school. Well, on Wednesday, Governor Henry McMaster received an endorsement from law enforcement at the State House. Several sheriffs, solicitors, and other law enforcement agencies spoke about supporting the current governor. The sheriffs who spoke talked about returning the support that Governor McMaster has shown towards law enforcement agencies. Sheriff Leon Lott, a Democrat, has known the governor for a few decades now and says he has always stood behind public safety agencies.
I learned very quickly that he was all about law and order. He was about making sure the bad guys got locked up, and particularly the drug dealers, and keeping poison off of our streets. And he supported us. Those who wore this badge, he supported us in every way that he could as a federal prosecutor. Then as our state attorney general and lieutenant governor, and as governor, he has continued that. He has continued to stand with us and support us in everything that we need. Our equipment, salaries, and just being there.
McMaster's opponent, Democratic nominee Joe Cunningham, picked up an endorsement from the State Education Association this week. They'll face off in the November general election. All right, still ahead this half hour. Just because something is labeled as healthy doesn't mean it actually is. The new updates from the FDA that could have an effect on how you grocery shop. But first, Tyler.
Yeah, guys, you know, we're watching the weather go down on the coast. You can see Myrtle Beach in the low country. Not so bad in Newberry, at least right now, but things change rather quickly. We'll talk about that next. All right, guys, welcome back to ABC Columbia News at noon. Cloud cover throughout the Palmetto State. You can see cloud cover behind us there downtown. Temperatures in the 60s. It is a very chilly day out there, reminding us of what's to come over in the next few months anyway. All right, here's our Doppler radar. This is where we're looking at. Cloud cover continues to work its way through up in say, Anderson and Clemson. Still, well, it's a nice sunny day. Not so much for our friends at the coast. Certainly not for us as well. We're still tracking the storm that, as of right now, is Tropical Storm Ian, having been a hurricane force. I mean, he's a Cat 4 when he crossed over from Cuba into Florida. You can see where that little rotation is. You can see where there's that tornado and thunderstorm warning there. So that's that rotation. Now, we got in the 11 o'clock advisory. Your phones may have gone off. It looks like he may elevate back up to a Cat 1 hurricane when he goes into Charleston later on tonight into tomorrow morning. We had talked about the fact that that probably wasn't going to happen. I mean, some of the things you need to create a hurricane were there, but some not. And as we talked at the top of the show, I just want to make sure you understand there's not a lot of difference between, say, a tropical storm with 65-mile-an-hour winds and a Cat 1 hurricane at 74 in the big scheme of things. So it's the big scary word with, you know, with the letter H at the beginning of it. Not to minimize it, not to say it's not a dangerous storm. Yeah. It is. It can be, for sure. But it certainly isn't necessarily, it's not a 3 or 4. So this is a timeline. It doesn't really change a lot except this. You'll notice, basically, we were talking even this morning. By the time it got to us tomorrow afternoon, we're talking about a low pressure system, you know, a tropical depression. Right now, it's going to stay a tropical storm coming up through Charlotte. And so that's largely going to be part of what we'll be dealing with tomorrow. Certainly some high winds, certainly a lot of rain, down power outages and things like that. As far as that becomes a low pressure system as it goes near the mountains and, of course, breaks up at that point. And remember, that's that eye, that's where we're looking at the storm. So the rain will be here long before the actual hurricane, if it is, in fact, a hurricane when it does land in Charleston when it's there. We'll be feeling the effects of it long before then up and down the East Coast. So we'll give you an idea what that looks like. Again, largely the timeline has not changed. So this guy spins a little bit here. We're talking about tonight at 6 o'clock or so. It continues to spin, develops into that Cat 1, get that wind going up to, you know, 74 would be the least it could be if it indeed is classified as a Cat 1. But as we're looking at 1 o'clock tomorrow, now you can really see where that is. And places to the west, I mean, on this particular model, over in Lexington, we may be just fine. You're looking at a lot of this power now is spinning there. It passes up through, but still at midnight or so, that timeline we've been talking about really hasn't changed too much, where by the time we get to midnight tomorrow night, this thing is largely done and up into West Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and way out of our preview. And we've got nice clear skies to ease into Saturday morning. So that's where that stands right now. Of course, with that, there can be the potential for flooding, a very real potential. Places that flood every single time. We got a good bit of rain coming in as we get through the next few days. A good bit of rain that's ready to come through. So that's where that stands. A couple of things. Heavy rain, of course, could produce that localized flooding we talked about. Damaging winds, gusting 40 plus. I suspect will be somewhere around that area. It won't be here at a hurricane strength, I don't believe anyway. So certainly we'll be talking about some down power lines, things like that. And as of right now, still somewhat stable for tornadoes. Yes, certainly a concern, something we're going to watch, but as of right now, that's the thought. And just a real quick thought on power. Remember, if we lose power, it's inconvenient, yes, but it may be a while because we're not going to send, but the power company will not send anybody up in bucket trucks if the wind is sustained at more than 30 miles an hour. It's just not safe. And so if it goes out, it's going to go out. To that end, you want to charge all your devices. You want to turn on your location services. And a lot of people don't. I'm one of them. I don't like my location services on. But a storm like this, it's important you have it on for updates from the National Weather Service, from ABC Columbia. You know, as things are geotagged to you, you need to know if there is a hurricane or a tornado. You need to know it's right there. So it's very important when we're doing severe weather tracking that you also track yourself on there. And you probably want to make sure you get some gas today as well. So that's the update on what's happening. It's going to be a mess tomorrow, but I still largely think we're looking at high winds, yes, power outages, some flooding, and rain. And that's really largely what we're dealing with. So this afternoon, cloudy skies. You'll start seeing some showers in. I know we have the football game tonight at 7 o'clock. As of right now, I think we still get the football game in. So, you know, that's obviously a USC call, but I think there will be ability to play some football tonight as SC State is in town, moving the game up from Saturday. So that's where that stands right now. Of course, we're going to continue to monitor this all afternoon. John will be in this afternoon. He'll be in. We're going to double duty it, so we'll be here till the end at this point to make sure that you all the information you need to keep you and your family safe. Guys, stay close. ABC Columbia News at noon is coming back.
All right, in your health headlines, there are new standards in the works that foods have to meet before they can be labeled as healthy. And that's because healthy is a regulated claim, which was first defined in 1994. But the Food and Drug Administration says things have changed since then, so the standards need to change too. For example, there are some cereals that have a lot of added sugar but still meet the definition of the healthy claim, while salmon, which is high in beneficial polyunsaturated fat, does not. This new healthy claim would consider all of the nutrients in foods. The changes come on the same day the White House released a new national strategy to end hunger and improve nutrition and physical activity. 2 or 3 cups of Joe a day could lead to a longer life. That's according to a new study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. Researchers analyzed data from more than 449,000 people between the ages of 40 and 69 and found that those who drink coffee had increased longevity and a lower risk of cardiovascular disease when compared to those non-coffee drinkers. The benefits were there whether the person enjoyed ground, instant, or even decaffeinated coffee. Researchers say the lower risks were found in those who consume 4 to 5 cups a day of ground coffee, along with those who enjoyed 2 to 3 cups a day of instant coffee. Maybe I should start drinking it. All right, up next, Thursday night college football in the Palmetto State. We'll have those details coming up next in sports. Stay with us. All right, in your sports news now, Mike Gillespie gets you set for Thursday night action over at Williams-Brice Stadium as the SC State Bulldogs come to town. Take a look.
We got some Thursday night football over at Williams-Brice Stadium. Tonight, the South Carolina State Bulldogs coming to Columbia for the first time since 2009 to face Carolina. This game, of course, being moved up 2 days due to Hurricane Ian. The Gamecocks' first game that's been affected by a hurricane since 2016 when they were forced to move their home game against Georgia to the following day on a Sunday. 2 less days of practice can be very challenging for second-year head coach Shane Beamer. He says the Gamecocks did their best to get through it this week.
It's unique. We didn't play any Thursday games on a short week when I was at Georgia or Oklahoma, but we did a bunch of them, obviously, when I was here as an assistant coach, and then I was at Virginia Tech. We used to play a lot of Thursday night games as well, so it's not the first time we've done it. And then we told our players this morning it's very much like the NFL teams that play on Sunday and then turn right back around and play on Thursday. So there's no perfect plan, but we're trying to put together the best thing for our team at this moment.
Gamecocks and Bulldogs kick off tonight at 7 p.m. If you can't make it to the game, you can watch it on the SEC Network. That's it for your Sports Minute to win it for this Thursday. We hope to get you off to a great day.
All right, Taylor, as one last check of your forecast on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
All right, guys, one last look at that 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, really the rain event. It could be a little bit breezy and rainy on Saturday and a few showers on Sunday, but certainly Friday, tomorrow is going to be the big day, of course. Remember, this potentially could be a Cat 1 hurricane striking Charleston, but hopefully you were listening earlier, the thoughts on that big, scary H word there. So.
Right. Because just a few miles an hour winds doesn't really make too much of a difference. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Well, I know you'll keep us updated, Tyler.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us for the news at noon. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay safe, everyone.